This video was made possible by Clear. The first 200 users to sign up with the link in the description box will receive a free, exclusive 3-month trial of their expedited security services. Welcome back to Economy Week, arguably the biggest Economy Week since I did the original Series 1 or first comparison, whatever you want to call it, between Emirates, Etihad, and Qatar. Because today, we are starting the comparison between United, American, and Delta, but not in that order because we're starting with American. And I'm so excited to share this review. Of course, I've flown all these airlines before in economy, so I had quite a bit of experience with them compared to the 3 Middle Eastern carriers. But this was super interesting going in, taking these flights pretty much back to back. And as I said, I want to start with American just because I feel like the reviews are very cohesive. It will go very well in the beginning. I have 2 flights in American's economy class and 1 flight that I took a few months earlier in main cabin extra that I kind of reviewed, but I have some footage from there. I can talk about that. And yes, I hope y'all enjoy the video. I'm so excited to share this with you. And if you want to know how is American Airlines economy class, then keep on watching. My first flight from Heathrow to New York JFK was on American Airlines' semi-new 777-200ER configuration. At check-in, there was no line, and the agents were super friendly. This was an insanely calm day for American Airlines since almost all their flights went out with the load factor below 25%. My flight had only 50 passengers on board, so when I arrived for boarding, there was no one at the gate, where the staff was also super friendly. Once on board, I was greeted by an enthusiastic crew who were generally great. They didn't smile but weren't rude or unpleasant in any way. One thing that makes American Airlines great is that their 777-200s have a 333 configuration in the forward cabin at the moment, as opposed to the common 343. While this will change soon, it's a good opportunity to enjoy some extra seat width. The legroom was terrible though, especially when reclined, since the recline itself was really generous. There was also limited room under the seat in front to store things. The cabin has individual air vents, USB charging, and power ports in addition to Wi-Fi. The power ports were placed in a convenient location for charging, and I far prefer this position to below the seat like you sometimes get. The color of the seats gives a clean feeling, but it's almost a little too gray. Given that the flight was so empty, the flight attendants had very little to do. During pushback, one of them stopped to take a picture and the following dialogue followed. Flight Attendant 1, "What are you taking a picture of, dear?" Flight Attendant 2, "How empty it is." Flight Attendant 3, "I know, isn't it beautiful?" My reaction wasn't the best to this. I didn't say anything, but it kind of made me wonder why the flight attendants would say this in front of the passengers. Although there weren't so many there, it's not really good for the airline, obviously, if they have a very empty flight. So we don't need to know what's going on in the flight attendant's head thinking there will be less work. Anyway, 35 minutes after takeoff, the meal service started with pretzels and beverages. The meal itself was super basic but relatively tasty. It was quite small with no sides, but overall I'd say it was about average. The entertainment system was insanely good though, one of the best I've ever had. So was the in-flight map for that matter, although the headphones were quite disappointing. Right after the meal, the flight attendants turned off the light, which usually indicates they don't intend on offering any more service. I took this as a sign to go straight to sleep since I was super tired, which was great since I had a full row. I slept really well. When I got up, I went to the galley to get some coffee. Even though the flight attendants were chilling, they offered to make me new coffee that was hot and bring it to my seat, which impressed me. I spent the rest of the flight working on the Wi-Fi, which had a good price for the full flight but was surprisingly slow given how empty the plane was. The pre-landing service began an hour and a half before landing. The crew forgot to make my special meal but quickly brought it out when I reminded them. It was a spinach and lemon dal wrap, which was delicious. So now that I'm between flights, I want to take a moment to talk about the awesome company that is sponsoring this economy week. Clear gets you through airport security in minutes. Think skip the line at amusement parks, but for airports. This isn't TSA pre-check. It's in a whole other league. Clear has their own lanes at the airport, so I know whenever I get there, security will take less than 5 minutes, which is especially important when I'm shooting Economy Week, where I want to do anything and everything to make the journey more comfortable. If you fly mostly in economy, the amount of time Clear could save off your journey at their 24 US airport locations is significant. It adds some level of luxury to your journey, even if you won't be experiencing it on board. And what makes this so awesome is that they're offering the first 200 of you a free 3-month trial of Clear using code DANTORP or the link in the description, so there's really nothing to lose, and you can go ahead and skip the crazy airport lines this summer. So, after a few days in New York visiting my dad and the rest of my family, it was time for my flight back to San Francisco on American's signature Transcon Airbus A321. Again, the check-in staff were great. However, security was chaotic. So chaotic. It's really telling when JFK's best terminal is this bad. Boarding for the flight was organized, perhaps because it was so empty. The seat itself is comfy on their A321 with an adjustable headrest and mostly the same features as their 777 seat. The last passenger to board this flight was a man with a pug, and literally in unison, the entire airplane responded with little screams of joy when they saw it, and the flight attendant ran up to the passenger and said, "Oh my God. Feel free to sit wherever you want," and everyone was just laughing, having a good time. To me, this is a positive type of humor from flight attendants. They're not really joking about the company, which I don't see as appropriate, but this is just fun, and all the passengers could bond over their love for pugs. So right after takeoff, the woman in front of me reclined her seat, and this was where the flight turned into the flight from hell, unfortunately. Since I'm One World Sapphire, I can select main cabin extra seats for free, but I got this seat just to experience what most people will get on American. It was honestly the most claustrophobic, uncomfortable flight I've had in a long time. It was literally impossible to use my laptop since the seat was reclined so far, and I couldn't imagine what I'd done if the seat next to me hadn't been empty. It took about an hour after takeoff for the seatbelt sign to be turned off, at which point the crew began their food service. As opposed to United, American offers free meals on this sector, which is great, with a choice between Asian chicken wraps, vegetarian wraps, or a cheese plate. I couldn't eat any of the food since it all contained dairy, unfortunately, but I did get a little footage so you can have a look at it. One thing that is telling of the attitude US Airlines have made me build toward them is that I was literally scared to press the crew call button during the flight because I thought they'd get mad. The curtain to the galley was firmly closed, but eventually they came around with juice and water about halfway through the flight, and even got me some pretzels and cookies when I asked for it. Finally, I had to bother the guy in the aisle seat next to me and get up because I couldn't stand it anymore. When I got to the galley, the flight attendants were super nice and said I could help myself to anything I wanted. Overall, I lucked out with my first flight given that it was so empty. The service was also better than average on all these flights, but the seating is just so tight. Combined with the mediocre food quality, American Airlines is an acceptable option, but definitely not my first choice. So here's a small look at their main cabin extra offering. Of course, what you pay for is the legroom, and it is great. The prices are also usually quite competitive on American Airlines. On their flights to Asia, which get super long, selecting one of these seats is really a no-brainer. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to hit the thumbs up button, comment below what you thought, and if I reach 250 comments and 1,000 likes on this video, I will upload my United review, which is the next one, very soon. So the sooner you guys reach the thumbs up goal, the sooner I'll share the United video with you. And as always, I want to thank my incredible patrons for the support with this economy week, because it wouldn't have been possible without you. So huge shout out to them. You can head over to my Patreon page and read more about how you can support this expensive but super fun series. And just, I'm so happy and thankful for your guys' support. Thanks for watching, and until I see you all next time, fly safe.